Hey guys, we're back here with another video. I wanted to show you guys a few things today in Blender. We're going to start working to texture or to color our mushroom. Last video I showed you how to change the origin point so that you could better control your mushroom in the 3D space. So let's jump in and we'll work to add some textures and stuff. So you can see now that I've got my origin point down here on the mushroom. That's what we did last video. Now that I've done that, it should be a bit easier for me to start texturing this. So what we actually want to do in order to texture this is we have to tell it, we have to wrap it in a material first. Now, okay, so what I want you guys to do is select your mushroom in object mode. So if you're in edit mode, just tab out of it, jump into object mode, and you want to come on your toolbar over here to the little beach ball. The default, you might be already in this, this square from something we did last video, and you want to come to this little circle with the black and white triangles in it that kind of looks a bit like a beach ball. If you click on that, this is the window where you can tell Blender what material is wrapped around this. So if you imagine you had like a piece of fruit, an orange or something like that, and you peel the skin off and flatten it, or if you think back to your maths lessons in early high school, they might have taught you, or even in primary school, they probably taught you about the net of a cube, or the development or something like that. And it's a shape that kind of gets flattened out to be the net. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flatten out pretty much the net of this mushroom, or the development is what I call it, of this mushroom, and then we're going to start to add color onto it. So the first thing I have to do is I have to tell Blender that there's going to be a thing wrapped around this, a material applied to the mushroom. So I'm going to come into this little beach ball and hit new. You can ignore all of this confusing stuff. All I want you to do is just to call this something other than material one. I'll call mine mushy. And just hit enter to apply. That's the first thing that we have to do. The next thing that we have to do there is we have to start unwrapping this. We have to peel the skin off it so that we can then go and paint on the skin. Now there are a number of different steps to this, and the first thing we're going to do in this video is just to unwrap it onto another window so you can see the net flattened within Blender, and then I'll do another video on how to actually paint this. So what we want to do to this, what we want to do to unwrap this is we want to flick into edit mode. And then what we need to do is we're going to split your screen here. We're going to split Blender in two and open another screen over here where we're going to see the mesh, where we're going to do the unwrapping. In order to do that, you're going to go to View, Area, all the way down the bottom, and you're going to choose Vertical Split. If you've got a different shape screen to mine, you may prefer horizontal, but for this part of this project, vertical split's probably going to be the easiest. So you click on that, and now without clicking you get this big vertical line attached to your cursor, and you're just going to click somewhere. Doesn't matter. You can see that's just split your screen now. You'll see two mushrooms. There are two viewports, and you can grab the line in between them and move that. So you can move this side by side to manipulate and adjust your screen. And now what you can actually do is change within Blender what shows up on each of these two screens by clicking on right up the very top left. There's the Blender logo. Just directly underneath that is this little drop down box here. If you hover over that at the moment, it says editor type. We're going to click on that in this case, and we're going to choose UV editor. And you'll see this flattened net grid thing. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, if we come back over here and select our mushroom, you can see some stuff there. That's not exactly what we need, but you can start to understand how this is going to happen. That's a bit confusing, and we don't understand exactly what triangles correlate to what and how that's wrapping around our mushroom. So we need to manipulate this a little bit more. But what we're going to do is, from over here, we're going to choose, while we've got everything selected in edit mode, we're going to choose UV, Smart UV Project, and just hit OK. So now you can see the net over here has just changed, but it's not perfect. Things are overlapping, things are a bit confusing. It's still, the mushroom top, I suppose, has still been split into a number of different shapes. And if I wanted to, draw a big white dot there, for example, let's say I wanted to make this mushroom top red with a white dot just there, but this line here is this one, and it's split between there and here. That's confusing and it's difficult to paint on. So we need to fix this even further. So what we can do now is we're going to come back over here to our viewport and unselect everything by hitting A. And I want to just select the top sort of bit of my mushroom. I don't even want to select these faces under here, just the top bit. Bunch of different ways you can do that. I'm going to introduce you to something else new here. Up the top right, you could choose these two little squares that kind of are in front of each other, and you can see that's got a little bit of a dotted line. It's a hidden line if you know anything about graphical drawing. If you click on that, it's going to toggle into X-ray view. Now, you can see through your object now. If I go into face select mode, and I can start dragging to select the little dots is what you want to select in order to grab that face. So if I move my camera so that I'm sort of roughly on a side view, and I drag a box over all of these dots, but not over those ones, it's just got the top of your mushroom selected. And whilst it might sort of look like it because of that's with the X-ray view on, these faces here are not selected. If I unchoose X-ray view now, you can see those are not shaded orange. It's just those top faces are shaded orange. So I've just got the top of my mushroom now, and this top section, and none of the bottom side or the stem selected. And now what I want to do is come back up to UV and just choose unwrap. And you can see now I've got this very easy to understand sort of circle over here on my net, whatever you want to call this, on your unwrap thing. Now, within this panel, you can manipulate this just like we manipulate a shape over here. I just unselected that, so it's gone away. So just select it again, and here it is. Now, what I can do over here is up the top, just like over here where we've got vertex, line, or edge select, and face select, we've got vertex, line, face, and we've also got island. Now, if you've got multiple things within here, you could choose island select, and that will select the entire thing. So we're going to select the entire thing here either by choosing island and just clicking on it. You could choose faces and drag over it, or vertexes and drag over it. It doesn't matter, whatever. And now we can resize this just like we would with our other tools over here. Now, you don't have this tool panel here to click, move, rotate, scale, but the shortcut keys are the same. So if you hover over move here, you can see that pop up, and it says shortcut is Shift Spacebar or G. And this says shortcut is Shift Spacebar or R, and scale is Shift Spacebar or S. So over here, when I've got this thing selected, I can use those same shortcut keys. So if I just hit S, I can scale this down. If I hit R, I can rotate it around, so I'm doing this so that the bottom edge is kind of somewhat parallel, not perfectly, but somewhat parallel to the bottom there. And then I can hit G for grab or move, and I'm just going to shove that down the bottom right. I might even scale that down a little bit more and move it down here like that, because I've got to make way for the rest of the stuff up here in a minute. And so now I've got that positioned in a good spot. It makes a bit more sense for me to do. And now I need to do the same unwrapping of the underside of the mushroom and the stem. So what I need to do now is come over here, and I need to select just those underside faces and the stem. If you really wanted to, by the way, you could unwrap just these bottom faces separately again and give yourself 3 islands over here. One for the top of your mushroom, one for this bottom edge, and then one for the stem. But I'm just going to do now the other half of the mushroom in one. Now, to select all of this stuff might be pretty tricky for you, because you're going to find it hard to position a side view where you can, well, actually, it's easy now that I'm thinking about it. You position roughly to a side view like this, and we've got X-ray mode turned on, and we're going to draw a rectangle that grabs all of these dots. When you're in face select with transparent X-ray mode turned on is when the dots turn up, and I want to grab all of these dots and all of these ones, but not these ones here, because those are what are going to select these faces. So if I've unselected everything and I draw a thing like that, you can see this rectangle selects all of the dots of the underside faces of the mushroom and all of the dots of the faces on the stem. Now it just gives me those bits and none of these top faces. I can do the same thing here, UV unwrap. Okay, so it's taken me a second to get my head around how this is. It may unwrap in a way that looks a bit strange. So what it's actually got here, I've just done a bit of analysis over here to see that sorry about that, to see that there are triangles down here, and that's the only place on here really that there are triangles. There are three-sided faces. So all the way in here on mine, though, this is the bottom of my triangle. These, they're actually four-sided faces, because you can see there are two dots there. Then these side edges, and then these four-sided polygons are these ones here. And again, you can manipulate this. So you can start working over here now to scale and stuff. You could unselect the island and just grab particular vertexes. So I could just grab these and rotate those to unwrap that, make it a bit easier. Scale those up to start understanding this a little bit more, a little bit clearer, if you like. Now, I know that whatever, you can start to manipulate these however you like. I'm just sort of playing with mine a bit to get it to a way that I'm more comfortable with it. Okay, that'll do for now. You get the idea. So now if I keep that selected, I probably need to move this because when I select all, the first circle is going to be over here too. So while I've got this selected, I'm going to grab this island, scale the whole thing, and move it up here and rotate it so that it's sort of parallel with the top right. Whatever. Now if I select the whole mushroom, you can see I've got these two cylinders. This one's the top, this one's the base. Sure, they look very similar. That could be a bit confusing, but I know, because I did it one bit by one bit, that this is the top and this is the stem and stuff. So I might stop and leave this video there. We've finished unwrapping our texture to see the sort of net, as if you were going to get a map of the world and wrap it around a sphere, and now you've got a globe in your hands, I suppose. It's the same sort of thing. So I've got my map here that I'm going to wrap around my mushroom, and in the next video we can start to paint this. That will do for now.